One person. Good start. 3, 4. Can you all hear me? Not sure if you can. 7 people. Can people hear me? Yes, no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. 8 people. Can any of you 8 people hear me? Not sure. Oh, hi, Glenda. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Hi, Laura. Hi, Tony, Debbie, Kelly. I thought you were going out. Simon, Michael, and Linda. How are you all doing? Thanks, Debbie, for confirming that. All right, we've got 10 people in so far. I need to remember to scroll down because it's not doing it automatic. Jim, how you doing, pal? Hey up, John. Hi, Colette. Hi, Becky. Oh, Becca, sorry. So we've got 9 people in. We'll just wait for a few others. Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Glenda. Very good, thank you. Oh, thanks, Michael. So we've got 7 in at the moment. We had 42 the other day. 42. So I know a lot of people have been wanting to join tonight, so we'll just give it a few minutes. So how's everyone's day been? Normal Saturdays. Hi Linda, hi Gareth, how are you doing? Hi Brandon, Shelley, how you doing? Hi James. So we're up to, we've gone down to 9. Somebody obviously has done one. Go back up to 10. Andrea, how are you? Oh, we're on 12. Why won't this scroll down automatically? I'm crap on computers. I do apologise. So people are coming in, but it's not scrolling down to tell me who's coming in. So if I miss anyone, then I do apologise. So we've got 8 in at the moment. We'll just give it another couple of minutes. So, yeah, so hey up Elliot, hey up John. So between the last video and this one, numerous messages and discussions with people, phone calls, people explaining about how they're stuck in ruts, and you know the phrase "same shit different day" comes to mind, and that was quite a common phrase people are using. And yeah, been there. How you doing, Elliot? Excuse me, sorry. Hi, Paul. Yeah, so it's very common for people to get stuck in routines. I had one gentleman. Hey up, Daz. Hi, John. One gentleman has been doing the same thing for about 20 years, same routine, 12-hour shifts, coming home, cracking tins straight away till whatever time passes out, get up, do the same thing tomorrow as he did yesterday and today. Hi, Steve. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Charlotte. So yeah, routines, that's routines, and what else could we call it? I mean, it's a normal routine that people are doing that they're used to, and I did the same. And to be honest, it's a nightmare because you find any reason, any excuse to do that same routine, whether you've had a good day, bad day, indifferent, hard, easy, you still do the same, and before you know it, it's got you. Hi, Paul. Are you all right? Hi, Jacko. Many people going out, doing a full day's work, coming home straight to the fridge, crack a beer, or straight to the pub after work. It's fine, yeah, it's whatever people want to do, but then they end up, you know, in trouble that way. One gentleman's been doing the same thing for 20 years, as I say, and once it gets like that, it's not so much a routine, it's a habit. You know, it's like smoking. You just do it automatically without even thinking. But then again, subconsciously, it's your mind telling you that your body needs that. So you tend to stick to that routine, that habit, as a comfort, if you like. You know, it's. I mean, the gentleman in question, he said, he openly admitted whether he's done to his family or not is another question. But to be fair, he openly admitted to myself that he knows he's got a drink problem. He hides it. But I guess, like, with myself doing it for so long, it does become a habit and it does become part of your life. But it's a case of, when you're doing it that long, you can't just stop. Just stop drinking and stop straight away cold turkey could be fatal. As probably, you're not daft, you're not stupid. We're all educated. We all know how our body functions. Once you've been doing something for so long, once you've been putting something in your body for so long, your body needs that, or your mind's telling you that your body needs that, and your body gets used to it. And the signs, the shakes, the sweats, when your body doesn't get what it needs, it's a telltale sign that you do need help. Hi, Marie. Hi, Kev. Hi, Emma. Murph, how you doing? Yvonne, hello. We've got another Kevin. We've got Lee. We've got Stuart. Another Kevin. Jacko, said you, Jacko. Hello again. Yeah, so routines and habits, and it's difficult. You know yourselves. If you've got a daily routine, just a general daily routine, it's hard to get out of. It's hard to break that habit. And with something like alcohol, I obviously was never addicted to any drugs. Well, drugs of any kind. Alcohol was always my choice. So I can't speak on behalf of any drug users or anything like that. But what I can say is, once you get into that routine, once it does become a habit, once it does become part of your life, it's so hard to get out of. And one thing I was taught while I was in recovery was to break that habit, to break that routine, and they showed us, they told us what was good for us, and simple things like going out for walks, or if I'll refer back to the gentleman in question, he got home doing 12-hour shifts, excuse me, and he'd crack his first beer at 6, and it sounds like he was disciplined enough to stop drinking at 10 a.m. so he could basically get up and go to work at 6 the next morning. And that's what he did. And so I suggested to him, well, first of all, go to bed earlier. That's a good start. Go to bed earlier, have one less drink. Try drinking a pint of water in between every beer. These things are easy for somebody to say, but trust me, when you're in the position of the gentleman, it's hard to do. You don't want to, when your mind's telling you want a beer and your body's feeling like you need a beer, the last thing you want to do is drink a pint of water. Come on, fucking hell. It's like, but what I was trying to explain to the gentleman was, you know, if you sort of dilute the alcohol, it's important that he kept having the alcohol because his body would shut down. Hi Denise. Hi Rach. Hi Ian. Hi Spike. Hi Lorraine. Hi Paul. Hi Caroline. Stephen. Marie. Yeah, sorry. It's important. You can't just stop. He's got to break that routine. He's got to water it down, if you like. He can't just stop it. So I suggested, you know, drinking pints of water between each beer, going to bed earlier, and sort of shortening down his drinking period, if that makes sense. You know, he gets in and he cracks his first beer at 6 o'clock, stops drinking at 10 and goes to bed soon after. Well, go to bed at 9 o'clock. You know, these are all trial and error things. These are things that work for me. Hey up Rick, hey up Mike, hey up Kev. These are things that work for me, but, you know, stop. That, you know, if the gentleman's that structured that he knows he's going to start drinking at 6 p.m, he's going to stop drinking at 10 p.m. because he's got to get up at 6 a.m. for work, then go to bed at 9 a.m. It's about breaking that cycle, breaking your mind out of that cycle that you've got yourself in. Sorry, and it's hard. It's hard. You know, I'm not going to lie. It's you know, it's quite easy for me to type a message saying, drink a pint of water between every beer. You know, hallelujah, that ain't going to save the fucking world, you know, but it might do a couple of things. It might fill his stomach up so he drinks his beer slower. It's going to dilute the beer in his system. It is going to keep him hydrated, which is massively important. You know, and go along the lines as well as, going to bed that 15 minutes earlier, half an hour earlier, an hour earlier. It might save him drinking 2 beers. And if you carry on that for days, months, weeks, it's going to turn into years. And by all, you know, it's in a way, it's a bit like cheating your body and your mind into cutting down, because ultimately that's what his aim is. You know, the gentleman has been to his GP and got a similar response to what I did. I'll go through my scenario for all the newcomers that we spoke about the other day. But we've got a good number in. I say we've got a good number. We've got 10 in, people coming and going. So yeah, that routine and that daily cycle, you know, because when I was at my best drinking, I will say my best because I was good at it. I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. I was good at it. I would use any excuse. I would get home and I would use a good training session, a bad training session, an indifferent training session. So I'd use good to drown my sorrows, bad to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Celebrate that I'd had a good session. If I'd had an indifferent session, if I'd fallen out with somebody, I'd use it to console myself. You know, it's these little excuses, these little scenarios in your head that make you want to do it. And when you've got a structure of work pattern, like nights or like 12-hour shifts, it's so easy. You know, I had a structure in football. I knew, you know, that's, even though we played midweek games and things like that, we'd still train 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, but half the time I knew I'd be back at home with my hand in that fridge by 1:30, 2 p.m. And I knew I wouldn't have to leave the house till 7 o'clock, 7:30 next morning. So I had all that time to slowly kill myself, if you like. But my mind was telling me that I was just relaxing. I was celebrating the fact I had a good session, or I was commiserating and consoling myself that I'd had a bad session. And that's it. Like I say, that routine can be a killer. I suggested simple things like, when you come home from work, instead of going straight to the fridge and having a beer, go out for a walk. Don't get a dog if you can't look after a dog. Borrow someone's dog, go for a walk. Just break that cycle, that everyday routine of what you were doing at the time, or what you have been doing, that has got you to this point where you're messaging me asking for help. As I say, the gentleman's been to his GP, got the same response as me, which is basically handed a leaflet and shown the door, which is disappointing, but it's they're only human, and I get it. I do get it, and it's like, people have opinions. GPs are no different than anyone else. They have an opinion. They have a view on how they perceive people, and it's valid. It's their point of view. It's people have said, messaged me and said, "Oh, what GP was it?" That's very unprofessional, but that's the way it is. I'm not going to come out and say, "Oh, it was this GP at this surgery," because that's unfair. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody, whether subconsciously or not, we always look at somebody and we always create an opinion. It's human nature. We create an opinion. Like I said on the last video, you see somebody who looks very gaunt in the face and a bit scruffy and hoodie on and things like that. We think, oh, a druggie or something like that. Or if you see somebody walking through town at 11 o'clock in the morning with a can of Stella in their hand, you think, oh, alky, and you automatically categorize people. GPs do the same, whether they admit it or not. Who am I to say? But they do, sadly, but they do a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. So getting back to the routine and the daily habits that we have. It's like, if you were here the other evening, I read my book every morning. Get up, have a brew, have a smoke, read my book. And then that mentally prepares me for the day. Now, I don't know what the rest of the day holds for me. I don't know what's going to happen in that day. Yeah, I might have a job booked in and I've got a good idea of how that job's going to go, but I don't know. Something could piss me off, somebody could piss me off, or I could piss somebody off, and that might change my mental process. That might change my mental process for the rest of the day. And if I am having a bad day, if I have really sort of emotionally, mentally had a shit day, I'll just come in and go to bed. And that's regardless of what time it is. I'm lucky that I'm self-employed and I can pick my jobs, I can pick my hours, and each day I know what time. I'm lucky enough where I know pretty much what time I'm going on. If I've had a bad day, I'll get in, get a shower, and go straight to bed. It could only be for 20 minutes. It could be for half an hour. It could be for an hour. But I'll use that time while I'm lying there in bed to refocus myself completely. To start my day again, if you like, because I need that, because I know if I don't do that, then I could go the other way and want to have a drink. And that's, for me, that's not an option. Some people have said, oh, you just one might do you good, but what? No, I'm not prepared to put that theory to the test. The saying, once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. I believe that. And there's so many temptations throughout any given day that could lead you back into that, stressful situations. I'm quite lucky that I'm mentally strong, and I couldn't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. And like I said the other night, I think that's a talent. I think it's something that it's a skill. It's like I've had messages after the last video. Some people, oh, you attention-seeking prick and stuff like that. But it's fine. People are entitled to their opinions, and I'm trying to do some good out of this, and people are listening. So as long as people are listening, I'm going to talk. But I don't care what people think about me, and I don't care how people see me. But some people are very, like social media today, people are very self-conscious about how people perceive them. And I know people that not so much are in here now, but said they were going to join and were there the other evening on the last video. Some people are very self-conscious about how other people, in what light people perceive them. And that people who are mentally weak, that could turn anyone to drink in this day and age, because it's not a nice world that we live in at the moment. It's not an easy world, and with all the social media platforms, it's very easy for people to get bullied, picked on, singled out, or anything like that. So it's, if somebody who's mentally, I won't say mentally weak because that's a bit harsh, if somebody who's not as mentally strong as others, it's easy for somebody to turn to drink to disguise that weakness, if you like, to bring a different character out to play, if you like. Does that make sense? People turn to drink to bring out their self-confidence, to allow them to talk, to allow them to fit in, which people have choices, don't get me wrong, but then they get to a stage where the mind takes over and takes that choice away from them, because your mind at times isn't your friend. So who's coming? Oh, hi Jace, you alright? Hi Jeff. Hi Anita, Karen, Claire, Deborah, Paul, Orthy, how you doing? Richie, Nicholas, Dave, Rebecca, Richard, Mike, Jamie, Neil, Katie, Emily, we've got Joey, Mark, Anthony, Gary, Greg, and Paul. Welcome. What's Andy saying there? Drunks don't get the same help as druggies from the doctors, and that's a fact. Why is that a fact, Andy? I got no help, but I just got told the liver is in a bad state and you need to go away and sort it out. Well, that's, to be honest, yeah, that's what I'm on about, Anne. I mean, the severities of drugs, the difference between drugs and alcohol abuse is the damage that it does. I don't know. I'm not medically educated enough to tell you, but I mean, I guess you've got to be desperate if you're willing to inject yourself with certain substances, and I don't know. Obviously I've never been down the drug line, but I don't intend to either, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. For you to have that point of view, Andy, it's that opinion. It seems like a lot of people have been to the GP to ask for help and not received it, or you get given a little A5 sheet of paper and get the door kindly open for you, if you like. But I guess most GP surgeries are same as are they same as each other, run the same way? I don't know. You know, NHS guidelines, are they the same? I don't know. But each GP is individual, and they paint different. I mean, they see that many people, it's got to be difficult, but I guess in this day and age around the Northwich Winsford area, you know, I think alcohol and drug, my opinion, alcohol and drug abuse is rife compared to when I lived back here 20 years ago. But maybe I'm just seeing things in a different light now. I don't know. But yeah, so breaking routines. Yeah, breaking routines and breaking that lifestyle, that habit that we have. It's difficult because, you know, you go for a walk and you always end up at a pub. You go out and try and do something different to your routine. And if you're going out the house, you always go past the pub or something like that. It is difficult, but that's, you know, we've got to gain some mental strength, some mental toughness to, you know, if you're out on a walk past the pub, or try and pick routes that don't go near pubs. Try and gain some discipline in that way. But yeah, it's like, if you know you're at work a set time, and it's like try and note the habits that you do, the habits that you have. If you so after seeing this, or you're here now and you know that you crack a beer 5 o'clock every day, then try and change that. You know, wait till 5:30 or wait till 6 o'clock, but then go to bed instead of 10 o'clock. Go to bed at 9:45. You know, some little simple things that you'd be surprised how much that could cut the volume down your intake. Hey, pal. Hey, Rich. Hi, Paul. Darren. Who else we got? Another Rich. Oh no, same Rich. Evening, Rich. We've got Michael. We've got Richard. We've got Matthew. We've got Yardi. We've got Jiggy. So yeah. Jasper. All right, son. But it is difficult, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes, you know, I'm sat here now saying, oh well, try starting drinking 15-20 minutes, half an hour later. And don't get me wrong, I was the same after a hard training session. The first thing I wanted to do, yeah, it was 1:30, 2 p.m. First thing I wanted to do when I got home was crack a beer, or I'd stop at a shop on the way home. Hey Terry, hey Jamie, hey Cab. But it's that giving yourself an extra 15-20 minutes, that's the start of the change of the routine. And it may only be 15-20 minutes difference to your time pattern, but it's massive. You know, you crack a beer, you have a beer, but then have a glass of water, because that'll help dilute it. And, you know, subconsciously that will help fill your stomach, and then it might take 5 or 10 minutes longer with the next beer. And then going to bed 15-20 minutes, half an hour early, that by the end of the week you might have had in total 4 or 5 beers less than you had last week to what you normally have. It's just little, because your mind works against you when it comes to something addictive. You've got to fuck your brain up, if you like. You've got to trick your brain the way it's tricking you. Now it's your brain that's telling you that you what your body wants, and that's where it's working against you. But now you've got to trick your brain in the fact that you're having more fluids, but you're not actually having alcohol. Well, you are, but you're having water as well. And then that'll trick your brain and your body into feeling better. But before you do anything like this, you've got to speak to your GP. Even if your GP is an absolute dick, and they're not all like that, but it needs going on your records that you're drinking excessively, you're drinking daily, you be open and honest. Tell them exactly what you're doing, exactly how you're feeling. Just because if anything happens where you need emergency treatment, then it's on your records. And trust me, it does. It will change the way you receive emergency treatment. If you drink heavily, because certain drugs mess with certain parts of your body, certain vital organs, and if you are drinking heavily, you can't have certain drugs at certain dosages. And if you need to be administered emergency treatment and your medical records don't show any problems, they're going to give it to you. You could be in a whole lot of shit. So yeah, before you start thinking of cutting down, stopping, if you do drink to excess, you've got to inform the correct people. Evening, Jamie. Hiya, Paula. You all right? Have you ordered the book yet, Paula? Yeah. So breaking the routine. You know, try different things. Exercise is great. Is a great way because it sort of cleanses the body as well. Releases all. I don't know how you pronounce it. Endorphins. Is it? Exercise. You know, you could be. Even if you're not able-bodied, there are certain exercises you can do that are just as good as going to the gym or running a marathon. You know, exercise is brilliant. Whether it's just going out for a couple of mile walk or going swimming. You know, swimming's fantastic for cleansing the body and is it endorphins or something? I don't know. I can't remember. But is Kelly still in chat? Kelly messaged me earlier with some information, but I don't know if it was just for me or if I wasn't able to share it. Brilliant, Paula. Brilliant. Hey up, Adam. Hi, James. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Debbie. Sorry, I'm just getting some messages in. There might be questions related to our little conversation we're having. Bear with. That's my brother. Yeah, so sorry, it's my brother. He's asking if my parents know we're doing this, checking up on me, making sure I'm okay. But yeah, we're all good. We're all good. So does anybody have any questions? I know I keep going on about questions. I did the other day. I felt like I asked questions a lot. Hi, Kev. So yeah, so going back on to routines and things like that, it's break the habit. Is anybody in chat give up smoking? I know I should, but I haven't. You know, anybody in chat, if you give up smoking, you'll know how hard it is to break that routine and things you need to do to fill your time. I'll get some clever ass now who says, "Oh, it was easy. I just stopped." That's not helpful. Come on, chat, give me some. Go on. Hi, Lee. Hi, Carol. Oh, a couple of thumbs up. But yeah, so routine. I mean, when I was actually in the rehab facility, we had a morning readings, which is the book I read every morning. We had a group session at that at 6 a.m. Basically, we'd just all sit there, would read the dated passage, and then we'd all sit there in silence for a minute and think about what was written and what was read out, and then we'd go to the gym. Now, I mean, I was recovering from surgery at the time, so I couldn't do any hard impact like treadmill or anything like that. But even just being in that environment, I felt like it was doing me good just to feel in a place that people are trying to better themselves, and people are, what people are like in gyms, that they are trying to, they're trying to shape themselves into something better. That there's a lot of positive energy in the gym, and if you can't get to the gym, going out for walks around parks and stuff like that, there's a lot of people around parks, and people are quite friendly out there. They will say hi and talk to you, and it's quite good. I went out with Carter one Friday night, woke up the next morning with a bad hangover, made a decision and stuff. Yeah, well, we blame Glenn for that, Rich. 7 years ago. Yeah. I mean, I've tried giving up smoking, and it's hard. Again, it's down to breaking that routine, and I know a lot of people who have tried to give up smoking. It's trying to find something to do with your hands. Otherwise, you're lost, really. I know a lot of people get them fiddly things, or a lot of people vape now instead. I vape. I do both, but it's because I'm hardcore. Yeah, it's about trying to fill your time up with something good, so you stop doing something bad. In a way, swimming's great for you. I'm not the best swimmer, but the more time you spend in that swimming pool or in that gym or out on that walk, the less time you're likely to go back. Yeah, if your routine is you're gonna have a beer, then you will go for a beer. But if you spend an hour out walking, you're gonna have less time to have that beer. But so your body's still gonna get what it needs, or what it's telling you it needs, but subconsciously you give yourself less time to do it. Now, I know there is. I think you have to be referred by your GP. This is why I wanted to know if Kelly was still in chat, because she messaged me earlier. There is a fitness program. It's run with. That's the one I'm talking about. If everyone can read Paula's comment there. It's that part of the team, lady who I went to school with, she messaged me literally 20 minutes before we went live, and the doctors can refer you to this. It's at the Brio in Northwich. I think if it's in the Northwich one, Brio's nationwide, and if I know Kelly mentioned that it's all of the South Cheshire area. So imagine, well, she works and it covers all the GPs, all the referrals in the South Cheshire area, or Cheshire West, and whatever it was anyway. But it's worth talking to your GP, because if you're actually not working at the time, or even if you are working, and whatever your financial circumstances are, you could make use of this, and it will be doing you good. Hi Darren, hi Liz, hi Dean, hi Joe. So yeah, it's worth, even if you've had. Oh, see you, Rich. Sorry, I just read that. Thanks, mate. Take care. Yeah, even if you're, you can't financially afford go to gym or anything like that, go and see your GP, because you can get referrals. And a gym or the swimming pool at the gym, it gives off a lot of positive energy, and you can take that in, and they're good places to be. And if you can ride a bike, a static bike, if you can ride a bike for 20 minutes or something like that, and then at least you're doing something, and you're surrounding yourself. You're actually doing some good for your body. You're surrounding yourself with positive people, and trust me, you will feel good about yourself, as well as you know, you spend an hour in a gym, you're giving yourself an hour away from drinking, and you're starting to break that routine, that habit that you've built up, where you're coming from work or however your day pans out. You know, you're stopping that routine. You're changing your routine is key, because my routine was ridiculous. All right, and take care, mate. And it's what it is. It's routine, it's habit, and then it's your mind that works against you. Okay. So, hey, pal. Hi, Tony. I said that I welcomed you. So, do we have any more questions or any questions at all? I seem to feel like I'm going on a bit here. But I know that the first video that we did, well, I got a message from Facebook saying your latest video has had something like 7,200 and odd views, so, and so many hundred shares, which is, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for sharing that. But like I said, if we can get one person, if one person benefits from this, then I'll talk all night if I have to. I don't mind. If someone's there to listen, then I'll talk. But yeah, so where I am today, yeah, I had certain circumstances change, and you know, go to bed. I'm lucky, like I said earlier, I'm lucky enough I can do that on the hours that I work, stroke choose to work. But sometimes I just need to go to bed, even if I don't go to sleep, just lie there for 20 minutes and just give myself time to mentally switch off and switch on again, and that helps me refocus. And you know, some days I need to do that a couple of times, and it's not being lazy or anything like that. But I just don't want. I could use that as an excuse and go to the pub. You know, where I live, the pubs, I can see the pub out my living room window, so it's easy for me to use any excuse, and I could walk out that door and have a pint on the bar ready within 2 minutes. So if I feel myself in any situation where I feel under pressure or a little bit stressed or anxious about anything, then I'll just stop everything that I'm doing, regardless of who's in the house, and I just go and lie down. And I find that helps me. I'm not saying it's going to help you guys, but that does help. It's difficult because we're all different, and I'm not medically qualified. You know, I'm telling you is what has worked for me and what may work for you. We're all different, so what I'm saying has worked for me, it might have no effect on you at all. Sadly, that's, you know, that's a shame. But you know, we've got to try these things. If you know you're drinking way too much, or the first thing is, it's good that you've recognised the fact. I mean, when I was drinking a lot, I mean a lot, before it got to close to going to rehab, you know, people say, "Oh, you drinking again? God, slow down," and things like that. And as soon as somebody said something that I deemed as being critical towards me, I'd switch off and I'd do it even more just to piss them off. It's like, just to show them that it's my life, I'll do what I want. And, you know, that's the beginnings of the end, really. But we don't, when we're in, when our sort of judgment is clouded, And when we're in, you know what it's like when you've got drinking in your system and somebody says the wrong thing, you immediately snap or take the you don't necessarily act upon with aggression or anger or anything like that, but inside it pisses you off. And if my sort of self-defense was, right, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it even more. Now, whether that's, I don't know, immaturity in me or what at the time, I do not know, but that's the way I would react. And then I think my wife sort of, I think she saw that that's what I would do, so she stopped caring. Not caring, but she stopped having a go. What I saw as having a go, she stopped sort of commenting, should I say. And that's when people stop caring and people stop, when you stop caring what people are saying about you, sort of you start disregarding what loved ones around you are saying. That's when you're on a downward spiral. Paula, sorry. Manchester. It's not. Yeah, we're all, I mean, you and I have had a brief chat via message, Paula, and I know your background, you know mine, and it's about people finding what's good for them and what works for them, and grasping hold of it and keeping it and then building on it. When I was in rehab, they took us to church. Now, I've got nothing against religion or anything like that, but I'm just not religious, but I've got my own views on that, and I'll keep to myself because I know it's a real personal subject, religion, and I couldn't take anything out of that. And it's like with a lot of the AA groups are held in church halls, which is fine, and so, the 12 steps. I'm not sure if people are familiar with the 12 steps of recovery for the AA, and I'm not sure if the Narcotics Anonymous do the same. But there's 12 steps, and some of them steps are, I feel, the way I read them and the way I interpreted them were religion based, and I'm not religious, but it didn't work for me. I chose to do things my way, and so far, touch wood, they're working. But it's a matter of finding what works for you, and until you try it, you're not going to know. You're not going to know. And Paul, I'm glad you found something that works for yourself, and keep hold of that, and keep hold of that tight and use it. And whenever you're feeling weak, because I feel weak all the time. I probably don't show it as much as I should, and I probably don't ask for help as much as I should. But my family, my daughters and my wife now have got seen signs, I think. They live with me. They know what I'm like, and they could probably tell you some horror stories about me as well, before I got help. But yeah, so yeah, it's as I say, we're all different. We need to find something. We need to try and change the routine, but do it gradually. That's the key. Do it gradually, and you've got to let the medical experts know, because it's got to go on your records. Because obviously, emergency treatment can be different for you if you got 5% liver function or something like that. Dosages and actual medication would be different for you to a normal person, if you like. So yeah, you've got to do that straight away. And remember, as positive as you may be, if you want to cut down or stop, or you feel that you have to cut down and stop, you can't just stop. If it's something that you've been doing for 10, 15, 20 years, say you've been drinking 8, 10 cans a night, you can't just stop, because it's going to kill you. Your body needs a detox off it, and this is why you've got to see the doctor or the nurse, a practitioner's nurse or something like that. They have all the information about cutting down and things like that. And if you go to an AA meeting, the people who have attended the AA meeting, they'll tell you the same. You can't just stop, because your body will, there's a good chance your body will shut down and vital organs will stop working. Your body's got to be weaned off it. Any questions yet? Any questions? I'm just going to check my phone. I'm not being rude. It's just some people are messaging me. They knew would be on from 7 and they're messaging me, but a lot of them don't want me to ask questions on there. A lot of them are private, so I can't, obviously through respect of them, I won't ask the questions on here, but I will check if they're okay if I state them in later videos. And some of them are good questions, but they're quite personal to that individual. So we'll leave them there for now. So yeah, so I would reward myself for a good training session, or let's just say, for argument's sake, a good day's work. I would reward myself with drinks at night or afternoon and evening. If I'd had a shit training session or shit day's work, I'd do the same. On a Saturday, if I'd had a shit game, or if I wasn't playing but the team had lost, I'd use that as an excuse. For anybody who's in chat who are concerned about family members or friends, pick up. It would help. I wouldn't advise you to mention anything to the individual that you're concerned about, but try and pick up on little habits that they have. You know, if you come in and say "I love" or anything like that, how's your day been, and they immediately say, "Oh, shit day," and go straight to the fridge for a beer, he or she, you know, is probably in a routine, and you know, maybe stuck in a rut. Would you say stuck in a rut? Stuck in a rut. I mean, stuck in a rut. The saying "stuck in a rut" was used on several occasions today by different people, and like I said earlier, it's up to us to change that routine to get us out of that rut. I know it's difficult. A lot of people's worries and a lot of people's fears are financial. And then if you add a drinking problem on top of that, you know, alcohol, all your feelings get multiplied many times. Or, you know, emotions, you know, your highs and your lows, they get magnified by alcohol. But if you're worrying about financial problems or anything like that, then it's difficult, because you've got financial problems, but you'll still go out and spend your last tenner on booze. So I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it in being rude. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's the way an alcoholic's mind will work. It's like, well, you could be worrying about bills when you've not had a drink, but when you really want to drink and you're not giving any regards for family or friends, you'll go and spend your last tenner on drink, knowing full well you've got bills to pay or anything like that. It's a tough one. Finances and alcohol, worry and stress are, I mean, it's easy to use stress than for an alcoholic. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to make stories up. It's easy to, for an alcoholic, you'll make the most ridiculous things up to enable you to have a drink. And you'll tell some horrendous lies to the people who care about you. But ultimately, your vision is hazed by the fact that your mind's telling you need a drink. So it is difficult. It is difficult, but if you're a loved one, now I wanted to mention this actually. Paula brought this to my attention earlier. I think we were on the same wavelength. So the post I posted on my page, on my wall, are they called walls nowadays? Facebook walls? Don't know. I'm not with it. But I posted on my Facebook page with the help, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Gamblers Anonymous. Now, in Middlewich, there is, I'll find the address out, but I know it runs in the evening, the same time. The AA, I think it's the same time as the Sandyway AA class runs. But the one in Middlewich, it's at that, the funny junction at the end of King Street where you bypass the lights. Does anybody know that, where I mean? Anybody local? Hi Samantha, hi Dave, hi Leanne. Oh, hi Louise, you're right. Hi Jeff, hi Diane. Yeah, so it's on, so you go to the end of King Street, Middlewich. You go through the lights, you go to the T junction where you go left towards the M6. The church just before the lights, I don't know what it's called. I'll find this information out and post office it. I'll post it once I've found it out. But my wife's been, they do a family class. I say class because it's a meeting. It's a meeting, but that's solely for family members, and they sit and discuss. I mean, my wife's been a few times. Well, when I went off to my AA meetings, Kath would go off to these meetings, and they'd sit and have a cup of tea. There'd be men and women there, obviously men for their partners and the women for their respective partners, and they'd have a chat, and they wouldn't sit and, oh, he's done this or she's done this, but they'd sit and they'd share experiences on how they deal with different situations. Oh, my partner's done this, but I dealt with it like that, or my partner's done this. They ask questions to each other because they all bounced off each other, and I think that's a great thing. But I will find the details out on that, because I think, if somebody has a drink problem and they're going to AA, I think it's only right, and I think it's a great service that is offered to their partner, to help them cope with living with an alcoholic. And I guess it's the same for drug abusers. It's a meeting for the family and the friends to help them get to terms with living with an addictive person or person with addictive tendencies. But I will find that out and I will post it. It's in Middlewich. It's at one of the churches in Middlewich. Now, when I went to Sandyway AA group meetings, I think that was a Friday. I think it was. Was it a Friday or was that the Wednesday one? Anyway, I'll find it out for you. It ran on the same night anyway. It's an hour and a half, something like that. But you come and go as you please. But I think it's from a recovering alcoholic's point of view. I think that something like that is helpful to your partners, wives, girlfriends, and I think actually like sons and daughters can go as well. I think might be a 16 age limit on it. I'm not sure. But we'll find that information out. But Paula brought that to my attention earlier. Thanks, Paula. So yeah. So any more questions? Say any more? Any questions? I can't read any of the ones out on that have been sent to me because they're personal to that person, unfortunately. Let me go back, see if I've missed anything. No, everyone's left. We've got 10 people left in. I'm just going to scroll back up to see if I've missed. Is Karen Spencer still? Yeah. It's an NHS thing. We can get in the Black Country soon. Unfortunately, people are abusing it down here. Hi, Brian. I noticed you've just. Oh, you're replying to Paula's. Yeah, I mean, when I was going to the AA meetings, Brian, that would be 2 years ago now. I know they ran then, but I know it was like the actual charity who was running it. I don't know if it was NHS. I know the one in Middlewich definitely is charity. I'm quite sure it's got no affiliation with the NHS. But I mean, I'm quite sure it's a good thing if the NHS do run these things for family members and friends and things like that. But you know, I guess it's like anything. There's only so many funds available for support groups and things like that. But I'll find out as much as I can on that. But somebody messaged me asking about, because I had to retire from football through injury, about medication. So when I first got injured playing football and I had to retire, I was straight in for surgery. Basically, I went up to catch a ball. I got hit in midair. As I landed, my foot stayed the same way, and my body spun. So when I looked up, my toes were pointing backwards. So everything from, I can remember the day, I can remember the time, everything. I can remember the sound as well. So I knew straight away it was game over after that. But I went straight in for surgery, and they put me on Tramadol as pain relief. Now, I don't know anybody who's been on Tramadol, but a week or so, I stopped taking it because it messed with your head, but then I started having seizures, and I spent 3 nights in intensive care because now they put it down to Tramadol, my body rejecting the Tramadol. But yeah, I've heard some horror stories about Tramadol, and I'd have been conscious at the time. I would have asked not to be on it. So I can't have Tramadol now because of the seizures. But because of my mental state, my daily mental state, I need painkillers because my ankle is absolutely fucked. I've got pins and screws and everything in there. Over the past 9 years, I've had something ridiculous, like 21 general anesthetics for operations, for surgical procedures on. It's funny because I've had all these surgeries and used up all this surgery time on them trying to repair my ankle, but I'm too young for an ankle joint replacement, which could have been done in one operation. Yeah, I know they only have a lifespan of 15 years, and I'd like to think I'd need a couple of replacements in my life, but I'm thinking 21 operations, 21 general anesthetics, 21 lots of theatre staff. The figures don't add up for me. But anyway, that's me grumbling. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so I need daily painkillers. But what I'm trying to do, because I need to keep my mind clear. And so are the opioids, you know, like codeine and things like that. I choose not to have that. I would prefer to be in pain than have that, because they make my head mashed up. Paracetamol, I take paracetamol. I take low doses of cocodamol, which is paracetamol and codeine mixed, but I can just about tolerate them. And they put me on Zapane, which I felt that they mashed my head up, and I didn't feel I could focus on me as a person. I felt weak, mentally weak, because they just mashed my head up. So I prefer to be in pain. I'm not trying to be some hero, but I need to keep my head clear and focused on my daily routine rather than having my brain mashed by painkillers. Samantha, well done. Thanks, Samantha. So yeah, Samantha mentioned in there things, but yeah. So, does anybody have any questions about friends or family members or concerns for family members? Hi, Chris. How's the puppy? Hi, Matty. Hope you're okay. Help Fitz. Hi, Jane. Hi, Scott. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to the Madhouse. Hey up, Jack. When did you sneak in? So yeah. Hey up, Steve. You okay? So, as regards, if you have any concerns about friends or family members, it's difficult. I obviously I can only speak from the inside looking out, and I know if anybody made a comment or suggestion that I should cut down drinking or slow down drinking, whether it was the alcohol that was already in me or just my argumentative nature, I would do the opposite. Whether it's my stubbornness, I don't know. I mean, throughout my footballing career, I never liked to be told, and the goalkeeping coach, Eric Steele, would always be on the phone to Kath, asking her what's up with him today. It's, you know, he's arguing that black's white, white's black, so maybe it's me. I don't know. It probably is, to be fair. But, so you have to, as I say, when you're approaching or concerned about family and friends, it's difficult because how to approach that, how to speak to them in a way that they're not going to switch off, and because we don't like to be criticised. And I think if somebody's telling us to do something that we're actually doing at that moment in time, is that if somebody's telling us to stop doing it or slow down, I think many people would stop or would take offence to it. Well, maybe offence is a bit strong, but so it's you've got to be careful on that one, because I know I took offence to it all the time, but I didn't see that people were actually concerned. I just thought people were pissing me off and stopping doing what I was wanting to do. But obviously now I've got a clear head, you see things differently. So I mean, you could bite the bullet and just say, you know, I think you've got a problem or stuff like that. And if you're going to just come out and be so direct, I would expect you to get a barrage of abuse in return, or I would prepare yourself for a barrage of abuse. You probably get told to mind your own business and leave that person alone, or you're talking shit. That's when the person will come out with excuses and, you know, oh, I've had a bad day, or I've had a good day, I'm celebrating, or such and such. All bullshit, all lies, all just saying things that they think you want to hear to pacify you. I mean, you could approach them with leaflets. Leaflets ready available in all the GP surgeries. Leaflets that you can physically take. Oh, see that curtain moving there? Oh, it's the cat. Hey, get out! Oh, shit. Sorry, I just saw the curtain moving on the camera. But yeah, you can go and get leaflets and information for the person who you're concerned about. Again, once you present that information to them, they could feel that a real invasion of their privacy. Although you've got great intentions, it's really hard. It's really hard, and like I say, I would have taken offence to it. Although I'd see that you were trying to help me. I would have taken offence because you were ultimately you're trying to stop me from doing what my mind is telling me my body needs. So tread carefully with it, but if you love that person, if you're a friend, and if you really care for that person, you'd do things in other ways. If it was a friend who you're concerned about, and your friendship routine means you go to pub at the weekend, if you were really concerned for that friend and you were a true friend, you would suggest doing something that didn't involve the pub or didn't involve going for a drink or having alcohol, or go for a meal where you knew that person had the opportunity to drink less alcohol. It's if you're a true friend, you'd find a way. Friendship, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because people could be played for fools, from the friend in question and from the person who needs help. But true friends would help that person if they had concerns for them. People who aren't true friends would ply them with ale and make them continue to make their lives a misery. But they're not true friends; they're just baggage. So message from Paula, Tuesday, 8 p.m. St Mary's Church, Middlewich for families. Yeah, so that's the family support group. So Tuesdays. Is it every Tuesday, Paula? I think it ran every Tuesday. St Mary's Church in Middlewich. So yeah, that's at the end of King Street. You go through the lights and you go to that's the big church on your left-hand side before you come to the T-junction for the sort of main road through Middlewich. Just Google Maps it. It's dead easy to find. And I think that information's on the AA pages as well, Paula, I think. Well, can you post where you found that information out, Paula, for people, please? Oh, thanks, Steve. What are you doing here? Anyway, it's your birthday. So Steve joined, Mike's joined, Keith's joined. So yeah, so approaching friends, breaking the routine. If you're a true friend, you'd help. You'd sort of disguise the way that, or you'd help that person that you had concerns for break that routine in a way it was sort of disguised. Cheers, Keith. Yeah, Paula's saying it's every week. Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the information's on their page. So even if it's like, I know there's people here from Derby, there's people here from down south who are watching this. There's people who I don't know. There's people over in Liverpool. There's people. So you'd need to go on your local pages. So obviously this is local to Northwich, Winsford area. So that family support group's in Middlewich. Now that's the only one that I know of around here. So obviously where you're from, you'd have to find your local Alcoholics Anonymous, or Narcotics Anonymous, or Gamblers Anonymous, and see what support groups they've got for family members. It's just people who are in the same position as you who have a loved one or a friend who has a problem, and you know, people the same as you who care about that person will go have a cup of tea, a biscuit, and have a chat, and you know, you'll learn ways to deal with certain scenarios, certain situations. It's a real. My wife said, you know, it's a real sort of family feel. You know, you can get some good support there, you get some good advice, and you're all in the same boat. Nobody's better than another. You're all dealing with the same issues at home. My wife said it's really good. So that's a good outlet for family members and friends. So yeah. So where was I? I've probably lost my trail of thought so many times. I've got that much to say. It's I keep going off on a little tangent. Oh yeah, painkillers and things like that. So yeah, so I can't. The painkillers that they want me to, or the painkillers they put me on straight after surgery, or while I was unconscious, and then they continued to pump them into me, was tramadol, and I spent 3 days in intensive care through that. Don't recommend that. And then, of course, started having seizures, and so then I couldn't drive. I had to go for tests, head tests, and all that, and B tests for epilepsy and all things like that. It was a real ball ache, but you know, nobody was to know that that tramadol, I would react to tramadol that way. So, but I find that all, are they called opioids, based on opium or something like that, obviously. Like your codeines and your morphines and things like that. I choose, I've been prescribed them, but I choose not to take them because I can't afford my judgment to be clouded in any way because of what I'm doing every day. Every day is a battle, to be honest. It's a massive battle, and it's a hard battle. It is hard, you know, it's not. And someday, you know, luckily, so far, I've won every battle. I've not lost a battle yet. I've got loads of gold medals, and I don't want a silver. It's so every day I need to wake up, read my book, focus myself. I can't afford to have my mind clouded by strong painkillers. I prefer to be in pain because then if I'm in pain, I can't walk far anyway, or I can't do a lot anyway because of the pain. So I know my boundaries on everything, and I know how far I can push my brain, my mind, and my body. Today, tomorrow might be a different story. Certain scenarios tomorrow might pan out differently. I don't know. But as long as, like, what time are we on? 2019. So, you know, as long as my head hits the pillow tonight and I haven't had a drink, then today's battle's won. But there's a lot of time between now and my head hitting the pillow. So I could still lose. That's not my plan. So yeah, so we've got 4 people in now. And I can't, it's a shame I can't. I need permission of these people to read their questions. I'm sorry, but because they are personal to them, I don't want to read their questions because it involves them and their scenarios, and they've said people that are in this chat will know them and they don't want to be, which is fine. It's their choice, but I will speak to them, and maybe if we do another live feed, we'll get them questions on or change names, because I think they are good questions, and I think people would benefit from me answering them questions. But I obviously, I hope you understand, I need permission of the person to discuss that live. So, but anyway, so we've got 5, and someone's just been to the toilet and come back. So, Paula, have you got any questions or any methods that you use that you may find people could benefit from, that help you in ways of relaxing, or ways that focus minds? If anybody's got any ways that people might help people, then please share. This is why I'm doing this. I want people to talk. I'd love to be able to sit here and watch you lot talk together, because that's what it's all about. If we're talking, then we can all help each other. I'm almost talking now. Hey up, 2 new comments. Oh no, we've got some newcomers. Who we got? Neil. Hi Neil. Hey up, Mark. I thought you were on holiday, Mark. Hi David. Hi Ashley. So yeah, I mean, Mark's there. Mark also joined. I do believe you're probably sat in Tenerife at this moment in time, mate. Is it raining? Hope it's raining. It is here, I think. But yeah, so we've got 5 people in. So I've touched base on changing routines and getting out of habits. For those of you that are still here, I don't think you were here earlier. Gentleman said, he messaged me privately this morning. Said he'd been doing the same thing for 20 years, working 12-hour shifts, started drinking at 6 p.m., finished at 10 p.m. and start all over again. So, I mean, that his routine's set in stone, his habits set in stone. So what I suggested is, when he gets in from work, go for a walk or go for a swim. Try and delay that first beer, and then after, if that's not possible, then at least try drinking a pint of water between each beer. Then that's going to fill his stomach up, which might make him drink the next beer slower. And then on top of that, he could try going to bed earlier, which in turn might make him drink 1 less beer than he had last night. Like I was saying earlier, it's your mind, people's minds are tricking them into thinking that their body needs alcohol. So you've got to trick your mind back into thinking that it's getting fluids, the fluids that it needs. Yes, you're drinking a beer or you're drinking your drink of choice, but if you have water in between, your body will still think that you're having that, because you're still getting the slight sensation of the drink, but it's diluted and it's taking longer. And then if you couple that with going to bed early, then you'll have, if you're strong enough, and there's the key word, if you're strong enough, then you should, and we're not all mentally strong, it's fact. We're not all, I understand that, and I understand how hard it is, and I've been there and I've seen it and I've done it. But if you can build that mental strength, and it's not something that comes easy, you're going to go through pain. If it's something, if you're drinking every single day in the same routine for years and years, you all of a sudden need to cut down, or are cutting down and wanting to stop, your body is going to hurt. You are going to feel pains and you are going to be sick. You've got to stay hydrated. You've got to drink plenty of water. Even while you're drinking, you try and drink as much water as you can, because that's tricking your mind into thinking that it's getting alcohol in your system. It's getting fluids, because you're still taking in fluids, but that will, to a certain degree, because you're still drinking in between, you're still going to get the sensation of the drink, and your mind's going to accept that, and it'll accept the water as well. So it's about tricking your mind the way your mind's tricking you to put drink into your system in the first place. It's a bit of reverse psychology with yourself, really. And if you can couple that with drinking later and going to bed and stopping earlier, then, like I said earlier, throughout the week, you may have put down half a dozen drinks. from what you've been having the previous however many weeks. I mean, the way I see it is, we've got nothing to lose. You know, we can try these things. They're not going to work for everyone. And I've spoken to people personally in chat and who methods that they use that won't work for me. I know they won't work for me. Sorry, the cat's meowing, it wants to go out. And not that I've tried every single method that's been suggested, but I just know some of them are religion based, and you know, it's my choice. I don't do religion, and I think religion's a very personal thing, and it's not for everyone. But I would choose not to do something like that, and I'm entitled to that choice. So is everybody entitled to do things religiously. And if you find great comfort in doing something in churches or along with religion based, then if you get great comfort in that and it works for you, fantastic. You know, if you're benefiting from that, brilliant. It's whatever works for the individual. Right, so we have 5 people in chat. Who have we got left? Put whoever we've got left, just type in a number. Let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got no numbers. We've got no numbers. Right, let's see what David's written. I think it's really great what you're doing, mate. It gives people like me the opportunity to speak about things I tend to keep to myself. Well, to be honest, David, right, this is, I've been so lucky in respect that I've been, and I say lucky because I feel I am, because Joe Blogs on the Street wouldn't get the treatment that I've received. You know, I was lucky enough to have been in an industry where we have like a union, the Professional Footballers Association. As soon as you sign a professional contract, you are in that for life. 1, 2. Where's 3 and 4? We haven't got 3 and 4. So you join the PFA, and you know, it's a union, and you're in that for life. So, and I'm very grateful for that, David. And for people who weren't in the present in the last video, I haven't seen the last video. Tony Adams, Arsenal captain, England centre half, set up a charity rehabilitation clinic called Sporting Chance, and I was lucky enough to be taken in by them. So I spent a week in a medical facility for a 7-day medical detox, and then we got taken down to the Sporting Chance clinic for 5 weeks to start our rehabilitation, to learn to live again. So yeah, I'm very lucky, and I'm lucky in that respect that I feel guilty in a way that there's so many people out there who do need the help, and I know who aren't getting the help, and I know it's because there's a lot of red tape and opinions. Yeah, don't get me wrong, a lot of it's financial as well. But there's a lot of people who have, through no fault of their own, got themselves into a bad situation, into a bad position, and they want to, it's crept up on them, they want to get out of that situation, but they just don't know where to turn to. So my idea of this, of doing these videos, is to try and share, well, firstly to share what my experience is, because all the time that I'm talking and sharing my experiences, I'd like to think that somebody can relate to feelings that I've had, emotions that I've been going through, you know, anything like that. I'd like to think some people are picking up on the similarities between ourselves. And I'm not doing this to rub people's nose in it, saying that my therapy was paid for and you're not having therapy. Not at all. I'm doing this to share, to hopefully share some of the techniques and the advice that I've been given, that I've been so lucky to receive, try to share it to help others. And that's all I'm trying to do, David. You know, it's like during the last live stream, we had 42 people in here. I think the most who was in here tonight was, I think it was 14. I think at one point. So it's not my intention to. I just want to spread. I just want to pass on the help that I've had, and hope that people can grasp onto that and find. I just want to encourage people who have realised and got themselves in a position where they know because it's a massive step. Somebody saying I am an alcoholic, and even, you know, for somebody who's done something for so long and then they wake up and realise they've got a problem, it could take something trivial like just waking up in the morning and somebody cracking a joke, and then the person actually thinking, shit, yeah, I am actually an alcoholic. But then that's so commendable, and that should be applauded in my eyes. That's a massive step forward. And then, but it can't, for me, it can't just stop there. It needs, right, that's the foundation. You've admitted it. With the hardest part, the hard part is done. Now the hardest part is the recovery and the mental side of it. Because anybody who's been in my position, you're always lying, you're always making up, fabricating stories for you to get what your brain's telling you. And it's your mind, you know, your mind's telling you this all the time. And people, I'm not medically you know, I'm only speaking from experience of mine. I'm not qualified medically to say it's this, that, and the other. And to be honest, I don't think there's many people medically who have experienced being an alcoholic and is a practitioner. So, yeah, somebody who's medically qualified can tell you, oh, alcohol does this, and that. But I don't think they are qualified to tell you how you actually feel or how you're gonna feel. Only somebody like myself or in people in similar situations. That's what I like about the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, because everybody in that room, even the ones who are chairing the meetings, they've been there. They know exactly the pain you're feeling, every ache, pain, tear, smile. They've experienced it all, and that's what's so great about it. But medical people can tell you the actual information behind it. And counsellors, you know, I'm lucky that I've got counsellors who are recovering alcoholics themselves. And I think that's massive. Excuse me, sorry. I think that's massive for somebody who has been there, seen it, and done it, and is out the other side. You know, for me, that advice is priceless. And that's, David, you know, we all keep things to ourselves, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make people talk, because, like I said earlier, I'd love to sit here now, be able to sit back on this chair and watch you lot in chat have a conversation between yourselves, just by talking. And because there's that many people who are suffering with the same things, but males especially. I know we've got people present in chat, females, that are going through the same thing, if not worse. But women, females, ladies talk better, in my opinion. But if we can help somebody, then that's job done in my eyes. You know, I've already, from the last video, between then and now, I've taken criticism for doing this, but rough and smooth. You know, I'm big enough and ugly enough, and I've been in some dark places. So somebody trying to troll me on social media is, I find it quite comical, really. But you know, I'm trying to do some good, and as well, it helps me talk. You know, so there is some good being done, I believe. So we've got 6 people. We've been on for an hour and 36 minutes exactly. Oh, hi Anna. I didn't see you creeping. Hi Carl. So does anybody have any questions? Spud, are you still here? Al, we had a little chat earlier, okay? David's here. Yeah, I mean, like I said, David, it's people talking. Oh, hi Adam. Hi Peter. Males don't talk. I mean, we don't talk about feelings, and we don't. Oh, I'm just going to nip round. I'm feeling a bit emotional. I'm just going to go around such and such for a break. I'm not saying females do that, but they probably do it easier than men do. Yeah, we don't talk, and we don't tend to seek help. We just let things fester. That's us, just men. And you know, the longer it goes on, the longer things fester, and that's when we end up in bad situations. And but it's all about talking, and I know people are personal about their details and things like that, but sometimes in order to get the answers we need to talk to people who either know us or don't know us, and ask questions that reveal things about themselves that they would never reveal to others. It's a tough one, because like when I was having counselling sessions in rehab, you know, one-on-one sessions and group sessions, I'd often end up in tears, because they took me to places in my head I never knew existed, and I didn't even want to go back there to visit, and it scared me. But I think in order to come out the other side, you've got to revisit them places to understand, or to finally get rid of them. Did that sound? Do you understand what I mean there? But that was I mean, I used to laugh that all Americans are counsellors and things like that, and I used to think, oh, yeah, why? It's just surely waste of money. And I can understand why more and more people are turning to counsellors. I can really understand that. And I think it's a good thing. If I was ever offered a counsellor or counselling sessions, I would take it, and I wouldn't give a damn what anybody thought who found out. I wouldn't give a damn what my family thought. If it benefited, it's like now me, the way I am. If there's anything, any treatment, any service, any advice that anybody's going to give me that I think will benefit me in my life, I would take it without a shadow of a doubt. And I wouldn't even ask anybody else for their opinion. But that's just me. And sadly, we're all different. Like with counselling and things like that, I know people who've refused counselling because they're worried about what people will think of them. And that's fine. That's the individual's choice. You know, some people are very self-conscious, and we have to understand that, because people sort of, they join counsellors with problems. You know, they bracket them, and particularly counsellors, they bracket with mental health issues. Now, the stigma around mental health is decreasing all the time, I think, from what I see, from what I read. And I think more people should be talking to counsellors, because it's good to talk. It's like me talking. So I see a little number 8 in the top. All I see now is me on the screen, right? I look good, don't get me wrong, but and then I just see a little eyeball with 7, 8 with a number. So for me, talking like this, it's just like I'm talking to myself. It feels weird, don't get me wrong, but I know there's 7 of you watching, or 7 of you have kindly left the feed running and gone off and done your own thing. Built my confidence up a bit, but you know, we just need to talk. And as I say, the reason why I'm doing this is to help people. A, for me to share my experience, because I know people are scared. They're going to be scared because it is scary. And I believe with me sharing my experience is that might put some people at ease that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But I'm not going to lie, it's a painful journey. You know, if you do it right, where I am now, you know, life's great. You know, I've still got to work hard. Every day is a constant battle. But to get to where I am now, it's difficult. And I ain't gonna lie to you. And you've got to revisit some places in your minds that you wish you never want to go. But that's what I was prepared to do, and that's what I did. And I'm glad I did, for the sake of my life, for the sake of my children, for the sake of my wife, for the sake of my parents. You know, I was prepared to do that, and I'm glad I did, because I'm still breathing. And I'm thankful the fact that I was brave enough to do it every morning. I'm thankful that I did it, because I woke up. And while I'm still waking up, I'm happy. So we've got 6 people still. So Mike Parsons, good. What you do? I'm far past. No one's far past it, mate. It's got to work a little bit harder. That's all. Al, oh God, mate. Yeah. Oh, well done, mate. It's a start, isn't it? You know, it is a start. And yeah, it's like, are you still here, Al? Don't know if Al's still here. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to stop, I mean, I must be a landlord's nightmare. Because if you're trying to stop and you're seriously committed to doing it, then it's hard. You know, I would, while you're feeling weak and vulnerable, I would stay out of wet places if you can. That's my advice. That's my advice. Obviously, I was in accommodated rehabilitation, so I couldn't go out anyway. 24/7 lockdown type of thing. But I would, while you're still vulnerable, I would say the word vulnerable, weak, maybe confused about which direction you're going. I would stay clear of wet places. I mean, there's still times now where I will not go to a pub. You know, I'm coming up to 4 years. I'm coming up to 4 years dry, and depending on my frame of mind, I've learned my emotions now. Depending on my frame of mind, I will not go to a pub or suggest not going because of my mental state. Call it selfish of me because it could spoil other people. In alcohol, we're selfish, but in recovery from alcohol, you've got to be even more selfish. I'm sorry, but you have. And my family, our family, found it difficult at first. But you've got to have structure in your life. You've got to. Oh, Al, you're still here, yeah? Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, while you're just starting, sort of the cutting down process, I know football on TV can be social and things like that. But if you're feeling sort of weak and, you know, if it makes you feel better, avoid wet places if you can. You know, I would try it. I mean, it was advised to us in the rehab facility, avoid wet places until you are confident enough and mentally strong enough that you could walk in there. I mean, it was said to us, if you walk in a pub and you think about having a drink, walk straight back out the door. And I've done that on many an occasion, where I've thought, leading up to the event, I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. I've walked through the door, or I've smelt a smell, and I've turned around and gone on. It's about finding what you can hold on to. David, Andy, do you think council discussed reporting? Fantastic, yeah, I do. David, I think it is a great idea. The problem is, the younger they are, the less they tend to open up to strangers. I guess we're talking about this subject, or we're talking about, but are we talking about this, the alcoholism, or are we talking about in general? In general, or for any problem, let's just generalize it. In any given situation, David, I would say counselling spot on. Yeah, like I say, for the younger people, through my experience, what I've witnessed and seen, the younger ones tend not to open up as much. They tend to clam up, if you know what I mean, and that, yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, there are some brilliant child counsellors about, depending on what the issues are, for mental health issues, mate. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of younger kids, families who are diagnosed with mental health issues, and you know, they have counselling and things like that. And it's about building that bond between the counsellor and the patient, and you know, so the patient, because of his or her issues, you know, can feel comfortable in that environment. But yeah, from the counsellors that I've seen and heard about, I mean, I've got close family members and close friends whose children have counselling, and yeah, very, very good. But it's like anything. It's building that relationship up between the patient and the counsellor, so to bring them out enough for them to divulge and get down to an understanding of where fundamentally the problems lie. I guess that's my interpretation of counselling in a nutshell. You know, because I said before, when we had counselling sessions in rehab, I'd get broken down to tears on a daily basis, because they made me visit places in my head I didn't want to go back to, wish I'd never been back to, but they stripped me down like, I don't know, like a petal on a flower head, and I believe them stripping me down to that and taking me back to them places in my head was probably a great start for my recovery. Painful though, but emotionally, yeah, emotionally. But afterwards you feel, it's funny because afterwards you feel a sense of relief, because it's there, it's out, it's as if you've got rid of some baggage that you've been carrying around with you for ages. And although you don't want to visit them places in your head, they were there and they were locked away, but you were still carrying them around. And then little memories, it's funny because little memories or things you see, smell or taste bring back memories, and some of them can be dark memories. But you know, once I had counselling and things like that, it tended to I offloaded them, if you like, or they become less of a fear of going back to that place, or they became lesser. It's hard. I don't know. I don't know if we've got the vocabulary to. So it's sort of. Do you know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard. But then places become less painful to revisit anyway, and that's all because of counselling. And like I said earlier, you know, I used to laugh at the Americans because everybody seemed to have a counsellor, and I'd recommend it to anyone for any problem that they've got. Again, it's down to, you know, NHS, it's GP referrals or private, and sadly that's not many people can afford to go private, me being one of them. I was just lucky at the time that I had my works union supporting me. And I don't know if there are still unions these days, I don't know. So there we are. We have completed 1 hour, 51 minutes and 53 seconds. So do we have any questions or comments before we say, oh, Tracy, what's Tracy? Mental health don't get much help. I was referred to crisis teams, completely useless. Needed help to go on depression, anxiety. Stop, yeah. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? It's. I guess we all. I mean, like when I first went to my GP, I thought, great, I'm going to get fixed, but then I didn't get fixed, if you like, not knowing then that I would never be fixed. But it's just disappointing when we think we're going to get, or we think we're pointed in the right direction to get help, or we think that we are given the right course of treatment to get the help, and it's disappointing when we don't get the help we expect from that appointment, or from that medication, or from that initial meeting. And from somebody on the outside looking in, they don't understand the disappointment and the frustration. You know, somebody who doesn't suffer from alcoholism, somebody who doesn't suffer from any anxiety or depression, they won't understand the amount of disappointment, stress that somebody would get through not having the correct answers that they want. I know, I mean, I don't know, I know we spoke earlier, Tracy, but it's difficult because, I mean, what happened with my GP, I basically got a leaflet and shown the door, but I went in there, maybe my expectations were too high. Maybe because it took me ages to build up that strength to go and get, well, firstly admit I got a problem, but then to go and get help. Maybe I was expecting too much of the GP. You know, it takes us a lot to ask for help, and then when we don't get the help that we think we're going to get, the sort of the disappointment and the feelings is magnified a lot, I think. But then I question myself, well, did I ask the right questions? Did I say the right things? And, you know, that the whole conversation with my GP was played over and over and over again in my head. And I just the disappointment grew, so I just ended up finding another way. I'm sat listening. I'm sorry, I'm just following this conversation, Tracy. Getting that's what was going on. Just leave it to it. ITP, yeah. You see, I mean, this is what I don't know if you were here earlier when I said, you know, I'm lucky in the respect that my counsellors, I've got 2 counsellors on the end of the phone, and they're available to me 24/7. But they're not just any counsellors; they are recovering alcoholics themselves, so they know exactly what I'm going through. Counsellors in general, I'm not going to knock them because I think they do a fantastic job. It's just some of that, you know. Oh, my cats are fighting. Hey, bloody cats. You know, I can't slate counsellors because they do wonderful jobs for people. Yeah, I guess it's disappointing that we don't get the help that we want, or, you know, David, for your daughter, we don't get the answers that we want. But and then that would lead me to believe, well, are they qualified to do that job in that area? You know, it's a minefield. It's you could make yourself go crazy with. I won't slate them because I think they do a fantastic job. I just question tactics, if you like, methods, motives. I don't. We all have our views about it. I mean, the counsellors on the therapy side scene, I cannot say a bad word about. And my GP was a tit, and my ex-GP was a tit. But then, did I expect more? Is that protocol what he did? I don't know. Was I expecting too much? Don't know. But you know, I've had a lot of comments now about how they've been treated off the GPs when they've gone to ask for help regarding alcohol problems, and there seems to be a pattern emerging. Unless we've all got the same GP, which I very much doubt. People judge, you know, going through. Yeah. Is it Chris, your hubby, Tracy? So yeah, so we've got 9 people in now. There's more. So yeah, we've been on 2 hours. So it's been a varied conversation tonight. You know, discuss some routines, habits and routines. Discussed a lot, actually. I just hope somebody's got something out of it. I've got new control. Just let this conversation roll. And yes, yeah, and I did. I mean, I did the same, Tracy. And it does, because you know they take you back, like I said a minute ago. They have a. I guess they're doing their job. They're trying to find out any underlying problems by taking you back to any potential problems that you have in your head, or we have in our heads, places that we don't ever want to go back to. And some are very good at it. You know, I'll I cried my eyes out. Bloody hell. Every one-on-one session, every group session. You know, it's just the way it got to me. But walking out of that session afterwards felt great. Felt like it was more weight off my shoulders. It felt like it was a step forward in my recovery. But stick with it. If therapy, if I felt I needed therapy and needed to speak to a counsellor and it was offered to me, I would do it. I wouldn't even hesitate. I would do it, because what have you got to lose? Your life? For the sake of an appointment, it's not worth losing your life, which potentially some people can get that bad that it comes down to that decision. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks very much for your participation. We've been 2 hours, 1 minute. We've had a good chat about different routines that people are stuck in and ways to get people out of the routines. This time's flying all on both videos now. It doesn't seem like we've been on for 2 hours. But again, if anybody wants to message me privately for a chat, feel free to do so. You know, oh, sorry, another message just come through. A lot better now. Anxiety killed me. Yeah, shame to say. Well, yeah, it's some people react in different ways, Tracy. You know, you can control drinking and things like that, but you obviously suffer from other things, which is fine. You know, we all need help, and we all need help at some point. But thanks for participating, Tracy. That's great. And like I say, if anybody has any questions, message me at any time, morning, night, or day. You know, as soon as I pick the message up, I'll reply as soon as I can. Cheers, Al. So yeah, thanks everyone for participating, and stay strong. As I say, any questions, just give me a shout, and thanks for tuning in. Take care, everyone.